Before I begin, hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. You're about to hear the truth behind a story. My name's Maya, I'm 30, and I'm going to tell you how my husband, Ethan, shattered me in a way I never thought possible after I made the worst mistake of my life. Yes, I cheated. There, I said it. I own that. But what he did afterward, that was pure cruelty. Calculated, cold. He was 27, worked a soul-sucking desk job, and came home like clockwork at exactly 6:15 every evening. Dinner by 7 o'clock, TV until 10, lights out, rinse and repeat. Especially when Ethan did something kind and I realized I didn't deserve it, but instead, Ethan sat in silence, staring at the floor like I'd told him. Someone died. He asked questions. How long? Where did I love him? I answered everything truthfully. He said he wanted to work on our marriage, that maybe this was our worst, and we had to face it together. I was so relieved I could barely breathe. I suggested counseling. I became the perfect wife. I cooked his favorite meals. He smiled politely, said thank you like I was his assistant, not his wife. When I wore the lingerie, he'd say I looked nice like a coworker complimenting my outfit. There was no fire, no emotion, no him. It was like living with a ghost. Baked fresh bread, wrote love notes, and left them in his car, in his lunch, even on his mirror. I cleaned obsessively, bought sexy lingerie, left no room for doubt that I loved him and was willing to fight for us. I even told him out of desperation that, if it would help, he could sleep with someone else to even the scales. When I asked if he was cheating, he looked me dead in the eye and said he'd been talking to someone he met at work. Not physical, just emotional. Getting to know her, he said. Connecting. I heard clinking glasses, laughter, a woman's laugh. That's when he reminded me. I told him he could see other women. All my effort, all my repentance, it was never about saving us for him. It was about making me suffer. I'd handed him permission, and he took it. But it wasn't just about her. In fact, later I found out there was no other woman. He'd made the entire thing up. The texts, the phone calls, the flirtatious scenes, all a performance to make me paranoid, jealous, miserable. That flirty, over-the-top laugh, I knew all too well because I'd used it with Caleb. He said he wanted me to feel what he'd felt, that people make mistakes, and that forgiveness means more than pretending to forgive while plotting revenge. I've rebuilt from the ground up. I've forgiven myself. I'm not proud of what I did, but I've owned it, learned from it. I deserve love. I deserve grace. And if Ethan couldn't see that, then maybe he never really loved me in the first place. He said I'd broken something he could never put back together. And he had already found a new apartment. The pain, the betrayal, the helplessness. It wasn't just revenge. It was punishment, a mirror, a slow burn psychological lesson. I know it sounds insane now, but I was grasping at anything. He asked if I wanted a divorce. I begged him not to leave me. Instead of working with me, he chose to punish me. And once I was broken enough, he left. Mission accomplished. I didn't want to be a nag, especially given what I'd done. So I stayed quiet, kept his food warm, waited. When I asked him gently where he'd been, he told me with eerie calm that it wasn't my business. 2 weeks after that, I was served with divorce papers. Clean, cold, no drama, just irreconcilable differences. I said I'd do anything to fix it. I meant it. Then he disappeared into the bathroom. I heard quiet sobs through the door. That sound, ... it broke me. So I ended it with Caleb, cut it off clean, and I knew I had to tell Ethan. If anything, he drifted further away. I couldn't keep lying. The guilt was eating me alive. Our life felt like a choreographed dance with no rhythm, no spark. My friend Nina later told me she saw him in his car downtown, with a woman, holding hands, touching arms. She couldn't be sure, but she was sure it was Ethan. Just the same old routine every single day. I wasn't proud to feel this way, but I was bored to death. I needed something, anything to remind me I was still alive. And it left scars I'll carry for years. Ethan and I were married for 5 years. That something came in the form of Caleb. He worked in the building next to mine. We'd bump into each other, grabbing coffee. At first, it was innocent, just banter, laughter, shared gripes about work. Then, the conversations got deeper. He made me laugh in ways Ethan hadn't in years. He saw me, One thing led to another, and we started an affair. It lasted for months, where I felt like a woman again. Not a roommate, not a housemaid, but someone worth desiring. But the guilt, it was unbearable. When I told him, I expected rage, accusations, maybe even suitcases by the door. When he came back, his voice was calm but empty. And to my shock, he declined. He said he didn't want to be with anyone else, that we'd figured things out. I thought that meant healing, rebuilding. So I went into overdrive. But Ethan's reactions, off, detached. I told myself he needed time, that the real Ethan would return. I waited, tried harder, nothing changed. Then he started coming home late, really late, midnight, 1 a.m., sometimes not at all. I started to spiral. I'd call him and get voicemail. One night, he picked up. He said he was out with coworkers, but I knew better. The guilt in his voice was too familiar. It hit me like a freight train. I had become the irony was so crushing. I tried confronting him, but his responses were always polite. I asked how he could do this if we were trying to fix our marriage. Ethan confessed that everything, the late nights, the silence, the emotional distance, was deliberate. I begged him to stop, to work with me, to go to therapy. He said he was open to counseling for himself. But the marriage, that was done. I was stunned. When I asked if he was moving in with that woman, he said no. It worked. 3 days later, he moved out. Quietly, efficiently, like 5 years of marriage were just a phase. He never told anyone the truth. He let me keep the house, spared my reputation. But inside, I was wrecked. And then I realized something. Ethan never truly forgave me. He couldn't. His pride wouldn't let him. But here's the thing, I'm healing. I'm stronger now. So if he's out there now, trying to build something with someone else, I hope he's learned that real love takes work. But I'm not waiting for him to realize that. I'm done. I'm free. And that's the real ending to my story.